Hi, this is Shadi. This quote you are saying in front of you can only be true once you were able to defeat the struggles that were holding you back. Then you can look back at the struggles and think of yourself of how much you grew and also how much you were able to get stronger. Otherwise, you would only look at it with disdain and live with a thorn in your side. Now, in general, we tend to romanticize the past. People would look at this photo from the 1910s, and people in the comments will be like, when men were men, when women were women, or how I would love to go back and live in those simple times. But behind this photo, they don't see the 30 people sharing one bedroom. They don't see infant mortality rates. They don't see childhood labor. And certainly, they don't see being forcefully drafted to appease the ego of some monarch in a senseless war. So, yes, as humans, we tend to romanticize the past. Now, when it comes to judo, personally, I am of the opinion that it should not be in the Olympics, and that's not based on my own opinion only, but also the founder when he was warning us about outside influences such as sportification of things, nationalism, and politics, and it will create this distraction from judo's main message, which is the benefit of humanity. Personally, he said he was passive, but he did give us a warning, while others just grabbed the word passive and then just ran with it and made everything possible to put judo in the Olympics. Now, people often tell me whenever I talk about the past that I am idealizing it and also I am whining. So, talking about the benefit of humanity, it's such a big subject. So, I'm just going to stay talking about techniques. Now, were there things in the past that were much better? Yes. Are there things that are now much better? Also, yes. And I will also discuss them. So, when it comes to the past, the arsenal of technique, as you see, was much bigger, and you had the ability to create far more sublime throws. We are competent on the ground very much, and it's not our priority, and I am fine with that. But when it comes to the stand up, we often pride ourselves of being kings and queens of throws. And when you limit the arsenal, you're going to limit it. And certainly, when you deny people the opportunity to attack and defend the entire body, you're doing judo a disservice. You want it to compete with other arts, you don't take away from it. That's my personal opinion. And when I talk about compete with other arts, you will see exactly what I mean. So, the arsenal was much bigger back then. The only thing you should be concerned about when it comes to techniques, if they should be banned or not, is safety. Otherwise, it's not your business to remove them. And even the founder knew this. When he created the first draft of the techniques, a lot of things they were being done and they were removed even when he was still alive, like dojime and the ashi garami, and later on neck cranks and footlocks, because I understand in an environment as dynamic as judo, footlocks can be very hazardous, and also medicine technology at the time was limited. So I fully support these decisions, but everything else, you have no business of removing them. So later on, kanibasami and reverse seoinage were removed. I fully support this decision because safety is very important. When you're injured, you're not with your family, you're not with your coworkers, and you're not with your friends, and certainly you're not training. But everything else, leave it alone, please. So, is the standard of throwing is now higher? No. What used to score Koka and Yuko now scores Ippon easily. Nobody will forget how Inoue sent Van der Geest through space 22 years ago, or how Okano dominated both the stand-up and the ground using technique that will rival today's judo. This technique can easily be seen today and we would still be impressed just as much. So to say that I am romanticizing the past or idealizing judo of the past, I'm sorry, but I am not. Were the rules perfect? Of course not. And one of them being the Shido one. So before it was a score for the others if you got a Shido. But now it is simply a penalty. And I am against golden score because you will prolong, and that's when the third Shido will be done. So to remove techniques for a popularity contest is simply insanity.
一度、復活しています。以前は足を持つことができたので、背負い投げにしても内股にしても足を持ちに来られるとなかなか投げることができなかったんですけれども、今はもう足を持つことができないので、この技できれいに一本を取るということが可能になっています。ルールの方も、先ほど言ったようにレスリングのように足を取ったりとか、こう体をしっかり曲げて頭を突き合わせたような姿勢っていうのは柔道とはちょっと違う、ふさわしくないということで、足を取るということを反則負けにしたりですね、厳しく、柔道とレスリングの差別化を図った、ルールが採用されている。少し前までは柔道がレスリングに非常に似てきてしまった。このままではオリンピック種目として柔道が認められなくなるのではないかという危機感を持ってルールの改正等を IJF という国際柔道連盟の方で行ってきました。その効果もあって今回レスリングがオリンピックの種目から外れそうになりましたが、柔道の方は高い評価を受けたと聞いています。
Like I said, you want to separate yourself from wrestlings, there is many ways to go about it. But to limit the ability of judokas is simply absurd. And I say this with all respect, and I say this because I love judo. I don't care about other arts. Trust me, I can just practice judo all my life and I'll be very content. It's not to rival others, but it's to keep it as wholesome as possible. And that is the problem. It's not the efficiency. It's still very much efficacious. Let me show you this. Here, Inoue completely dominated the gripping while there was leg grabs, and Van der Geest lost the fight before the throw even came. So, but 3 years later, in 2004, Inoue was punished for poor gripping, and that allowed Van der Geest to grab his leg and counter him. So, if the leg grabs were not allowed, Inoue could still have scored probably, but he was punished due to poor gripping, and rightfully so. So this is what I mean when it makes you a more wholesome grappler and, king and queen of throwing, when you can attack and defend the entire body. So this is, like I said, another thing is people tell me that we need the Olympics for sponsoring and money and whatever it is. But again, if you're good, sponsors will be lining up. Don't worry about the IOC, and many of them do not even get paid by the Olympics.
Even you don't need to compete, Okay. Even you don't need to compete, they pay me every month, like salary.
Yeah. That's good, man.
Yeah.
Was it okay? So it's company of what? What kind of company is it?
Like big company, like
Samsung,
security company, like Asahi Kasei, Shinnitetsu. Like you guys don't know, but there is big.
Big company for security. So
security company, or like Ziploc.
Ziploc?
Yeah.
Okay.
Their company, or like
Ziploc.
Yeah, or like Iron company.
Iron?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd be like a security guard?
No, it is like sponsor. Just when you compete, just put this company name here.
That's it?
That's it. You don't need to work anything.
Now, let's talk about the new things about judo that are actually very good. And number one is the gripping. The gripping has evolved substantially. One great example is here, you see in front of you, is Nagase. Now, he is the least explosive athlete, yet he has destroyed some of the best and won the best titles, and it's all due to his gripping, particularly breaking little grips, as you see here, and using them as a way to unbalance someone and just win. So when you see, for example, his hands being tied up, he uses it to his advantage. Another thing is, of course, the evolution of newaza. Now, with the rise of jiu-jitsu, it has reminded a lot of judokas about their technical heritage and also the transitions. And due to better grips, now you have better transitions into the ground. And I think the relationship between the stand-up and the ground in judo, in particularly, it's absolutely beautiful. Transitions on their own are a world of just a lot of skill. It's not just you either good on the ground or stand up. The transition in and of itself is a skill that needs to be mastered. And in judo now we have a lot more newaza, and I'm very happy with it. And the referees, if they see the action is still going, they will leave it sometimes for minutes, and that's one thing. Now look at here in the past. If you get a shido, it's a koka, and then the other one, as you saw, it scored him a yuko, which is crazy. Now a penalty is a penalty. It's not a score for the other. Now what I don't like is the golden score, which honestly it gets very tedious for the athletes themselves, and also usually they win by something like the third penalty and not by a throw or a submission. So usually the best throws come at the regular time. Personally, I think it's better to increase the time and then add a referee decision rather than golden score. Now, to answer the question, is the Olympics killing martial arts? No, but I do think that it is somewhat hindering judo of becoming its greatest image or its greatest version. 2010 is a world that doesn't exist anymore, and we should stop catering to it. Popularity contests are not needed. And also, I would like to add a lot of self-defense drills and type of training, Goshin Jutsu, in class. That would also be great. This was Shadi, and thank you for listening.